Welcome to Gotham. I am the Knight. The Gotham Nights podcast begins in 3, 2, 1.
A Rocksteady official tweeted out, and people have been asking questions like people should on a new game. What is Warner Brothers making? Everyone knows the recent one, Shadow of War, but people are just like, well, you got that out of the way, what kind of DC game are we gonna get? And he released a tweet on Twitter and was just like, well, ladies and gentlemen, there is some in development, which I am excited for, and they say that it is gonna knock our socks off, which is amazing. I don't know if it's gonna be a new Superman game, a new Batman game. I know Blake over here hasn't played any yet.
Not yet.
Emphasis on the word yet. But all you DC fans, you know that he will get his socks blown off from its epicness.
Oh
epicness. Yeah. So anyway, what are your thoughts on a new Batman game? Do you think it's good or not, Blake?
I think it's good, man. I think it sounds really cool. I'm sure you are very excited about it. I know a lot of DC fans are, I'm sure. So, and it'll be cool now with the new hardware coming out and the new systems. Maybe they'll be able to really push the graphics and make it a really epic game. That'd be cool to me.
Yeah, since with Arkham Knight, that game was such a great game graphically, the way that they put so much texture into it, like with the rain falling down, and everything was just so perfect in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, this game is beautiful too that I'm playing now, Arkham Asylum, that they remastered for Return to Arkham. If you want to play the classic games of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, both remastered.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Honestly, I can't wait for it because people have been waiting a long time for it, because there's rumors of if it's gonna be a Damian Wayne game, they kind of maybe pass down the torch to the Sun, bring his Batman into the mix. Or
I've never even
they're
heard
gonna
of
name it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, Damian Wayne is this immortal son of Batman.
Oh, okay.
His mom is Talia al Ghul.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
he was raised by the League of Assassins from birth to be a killer almost.
The uplink station has been taken over by the rebels. We must deactivate it in order to stop a Y-wing attack.
It's interesting to see how you would place him in his father's footsteps, but what's a really good game I really would be interested in is what I've heard a lot more of lately is it's called Batman Insurgency. I think it's that's the official name of it.
The rebel ships won't be able to make that attack run without it.
That they said they might have rebooted or something like that. It was kind of a prequel style game.
Yeah.
Like they did with Origins.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And Warner Brothers Montreal, the Canada division,
Rebel forces have triggered the uplink station.
Be making it, so, and it would star Batman and Robin as full playable characters.
That sounds epic.
Oh, brother, it is.
Especially Robin. I mean, that would be freaking cool to play as Robin too.
mean, in the past,
Rebel
playing
Y-wings are
Robin
making
has
their
been
attack
cool.
run.
Like, you can play him in Arkham Knight. You can play him in Arkham City for a DLC with
Yeah,
Harley Quinn.
that's awesome, man.
But the villains of the game would be the Court of Owls, and that's kind of
The rebel
new.
scum have destroyed our
And
walker.
I know they said they wanted
Rebels in the
to.
area.
They wanted
Okay,
to do
so will
something
you run me
different
through
with it.
who is the Court of Owls?
The princess has caused
Who
us a
are the
great
Court of
deal of
Owls?
trouble.
Okay, the Court of Owls are a secret group that they were kind of created by Zack Snyder in his comic book, The Court of Owls. The 52 series. Well, pretty much what they are
Our AT-AT will only be
is
vulnerable
it
for
all
a little longer.
starts with the man himself, Batman, and his parents' murder. And
Okay.
they go into investigation like who murdered Bruce Wayne's parents. Well, they find him, and they're just like, okay, but they figure out he was just a hired gun. They're just like, who was the hired gun? And they figure out that the person who hired him were a court, a secret group of individuals who run Gotham.
That's cool. That's
They
crazy.
Like, you think that criminals and all the crooked senators run Gotham? Guess what? The Court of Owls do. And they've been running Gotham for hundreds of years. Since
I love that. That's
the very
awesome.
first Waynes. Since the very first Waynes, they've been running Gotham.
That really adds
And-
like a almost conspiracy kind of level to it. That's really cool.
Yeah, because, and it's really cool because it gives the answer to the main question: who did kill Bruce Wayne's parents?
Yeah.
And the end game was the Court of Owls because his father was getting close to revealing them as the court of their existence because they wanted to keep their existence a secret from everything. So they wanted to do that, and they were going to bring back the Joker, kind of like a younger Joker, and they would have the Joker that the voice actor that played the Joker in Arkham Origins,
Oh, okay.
instead of Mark Hamill starring as the Joker. Even though, in my eyes, he
We
will
need air
always
support.
be the best
Get the
voice
uplinks
actor
online.
Yeah.
for the Joker.
Yeah, I didn't even know until like last year that he's the guy that did that. I thought that was really neat when I found that out.
Honestly, me either. And that was just interesting to
crazy.
me. I didn't know about it until I was looking at a video for Arkham City, and they were talking about going through the
The
graphics
uplink
and
station has been
voiceovers,
activated.
and
Hold it.
they were talking to
All
Mark
rebel
Hamill
troops,
about being
activate the uplinks to
Joker
call in Y-wing support.
for
They'll
so
soften up
long.
those walkers for you.
and how excuse me, and how a lot of actors, regular actors, take their like acting skills from Mark Hamill's voiceover. Like a recent Joker, not Jared Leto, sorry Jared, Cameron Monaghan, who I really think is an amazing actor,
Uplink offline. Get it back up. We need it
plays
for our
the
Y-wing.
proto Joker in Gotham.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
he
awesome.
said he took his inspiration from Mark Hamill of how
Yeah.
like in comic books it wasn't just one definitive laugh, it was a bunch of laughs. Like it wasn't like a ha ha ha, it was like hee hee ha ha hoo. You know, that's how
Yeah.
Mark Hamill described it.
Well done.
You know,
We've
That's awesome.
activated the uplink.
It adds to the character for sure.
Uplink deactivated.
Like how crazy.
and we will
can
all
make
know
this
the
stuff
best
sound.
performance of all time will always be Heath Ledger. Rest in
R.I.P.
peace.
R.I.P. Doc.
R.I.P. My good sir. And, but moving it along here from games to castings for new upcoming shows, like a new Teen Titans show. Now, I'm not saying Teen Titans Go here, ladies and gentlemen, because we all know that's always for the young kids at home. I'm talking about a CW style type Teen Titans show, and they did their first two castings.
Vader is present.
Nightwing, they did a Nightwing, which is the actor who played
Bomber locking signal
Will
initialized.
Turner's son in the new Pirates of the Caribbean
Oh,
movie.
okay. Cool. That's awesome.
And they casted two more superheroes, and they're kind of like what you would call a duo. Like kind of a duo, and that's Hawk and Dove. Now, I'm really excited for this because Hawk and Dove are two characters that haven't been seen since
The uplink station
Justice
is
League, the
inactivated.
cartoon show.
Oh, wow.
And a little background on Hawk and Dove. They're kind of a duo, which is like they have powers of a hawk and a dove, honestly. And the castings are Alan Richardson and who was people thought that
Y-wing
would be
locking sequence
Shazam
offline. We need
for
to
the upcoming
reactivate the
Shazam
uplink.
movie. And what they did for Dove is they did this one chick, I forgot her name at the moment, but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting what they do with this show, because I remember personally the old cartoon show that they had way back when. This was way back years ago on Cartoon Network, where they had
Why we skip that?
that little mature Chinese anime type cartoon show that people really didn't know about for a while, and it kind of canceled it from its
The
unpopularity.
walker is exposed.
And I remember, everyone remembers Teen Titans Go and all that stuff, but I think it's kind of cool because
Continue to focus fire on the walker.
they've been kind of redoing all the Titans here lately because of all the cool movies that have been coming out. Like I've been watching a lot of new DC animated movies that are coming out, like the Judas Contract and all
I've heard a
sorts
lot
of
of people
cool
say
movies.
the animated movies are some of the best ones in DC stuff.
Oh yeah, some people can argue with people that the DC animated movies are some of the best movies ever created.
That's awesome.
Like I'm talking about, like they are like some great movies.
Like Under the Red Hood, I've heard is one of the best.
Under the Red Hood, and if you really want to see a graphic type one, you can watch Batman the Killing Joke. I watched Teen Titans Judas Contract, which was interesting in itself. And which stars all the Titans. And I also watched Teen Titans versus the Justice League, which is a very interesting showdown, let me tell you.
That sounds
And
cool.
the current Teen Titans right now are Starfire, Nightwing, which are like kind of like the adult type people that kind of watch over the Titans, that kind of help them out in need. And you have Beast Boy, Beetle.
What's up, Chaser?
I am the Knight.
Damian Wayne
Brawler.
Robin, and another one. But yeah, those movies are interesting, and they go head to head with the man himself, Deathstroke. So that's a really good movie.
And if you ever watch
And-
Arrow, you know Deathstroke. Don't play around.
That's right.
And shout out to Chase Nightcrawler, who just joined the podcast today.
Excuse me. I did not know this was a podcast, but what's up, everybody? And
We just chilling.
Christian, is this your oh, what is it? DC
Gotham
Marvel
Nights.
podcast?
Gotham
Gotham
Nights
Nights?
podcast.
That's so beautiful. That's gorgeous. Wow. Yeah, man. Just been playing a lot of Forza and enjoying it, and it's like, well, I have a lot of milestones and stuff to do in Destiny 2, so I'm gonna get on that. But definitely don't want to interfere. Just thought y'all were in the party broadcasting, so I was gonna say what's up. But if I can give anything, I'm gonna let you run the show. But if I can get anything in about DC or Marvel or anything, I will give my 2 cents, and that is all it's worth, sir.
Well, we
Yeah,
are
man.
open for opinion here, sir.
We could
So-
let
Yes,
Chase
sir.
We just
tell
been
us
talking about
uh,
castings.
We could let Chase tell us about how Forza 7 is real quick. Because that's a new game.
Well,
sounds like.
I'll say this.
And we can
I
tie it
told
back to the
my wife-
Batmobile somehow.
I'll tell my wife. I told my wife earlier today. I said, "You're gonna have to call the coroner to come and pick up my body because my face has been melted and it is on the floor." And that is on the Xbox One S.
I know.
They announced a long time ago that they were going to go start with the dev kit, which is actually more powerful than the Xbox One X. For that though, they make all their games on that, and they scale them down to the One X, then the One S, then the One, and that's how they do it. And I can tell
The
because
rebels are taking control.
it's kind of like Forza 6 with a little bit better textures, better reflections, and better overall game as far as like dynamic weather. You'll be playing a game at night, and all of a sudden the sun rises and you see a really pretty skyline. It's just, dude, like it's really amazing that I ever finished races because it's so beautiful. I'm just really proud. I would highly recommend it. I know there's like professional sports people that are kind of off about it because they want to test track to tune their vehicles on and stuff. That's cool. I'm not that serious. I put it on easy and then roll with it. And I have a very good time doing that. But there's not much else to say. You got to see it for yourself because it is. But I will say, it's as 10 out of 10 as a racer is ever going to get with me, and it is the best Forza I've ever played, and that is me. A huge Forza fan.
Yeah. Awesome, bro.
Hoping they make a new Batmobile for the game.
That would be
Well,
so
I'll
cool.
tell you what, on Forza Horizon 3, I don't know what vehicle it is. I think it's a Lambo, but it has the, I don't know about Batmobile, but it has the Batman logo on it. I'm sure once the game gets heard, it's gonna be, I'm gonna be rocking out some kind of Bat logo on something. No doubt.
Yeah, speaking of the Batmobile, that's one thing that's has its biggest evolution of all time. From the 1990s Michael Keaton film that had the cool bat wings on the back to Ben Affleck's like Batmobile.
You know, a lot of people didn't like
destruction.
that one, but I grew up with that one, so I love it.
Dude, Ben Affleck's
I mean,
was
I
like
love
a
it
freaking
too
tank
because that was
in
like,
Batman versus
it was so
Superman.
cool.
That thing was
Dude, Ben
It was so
Affleck himself is like a tank.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but I thought Christian Bale's kicked a lot of ass, but he kind of
yeah.
faced a lot of adversity and whatnot. But I tell you what, man, Ben Affleck was just like hey, I'm a boss, deal with it.
Dude, I am so ready to
Dude.
see his solo Batman movies after watching Batman vs Superman. Because he brought
His,
the
I mean, he was
physical, the
meant to
scary.
build fear.
Yeah.
I mean, he took on the character like perfectly. I mean, he was meant to like put the fear of God into criminals like that.
He put the fear of God with me.
For real.
I'm
I
not
mean,
even a criminal.
The way he like did Batman versus Superman was just like when I first saw it, I was like, this is the definitive Batman of our generation.
Yeah,
Because
I agree,
people were
buddy.
just like, oh, Ben Affleck's gonna be retarded as a Batman character. And Ben Affleck said every performance out of it.
People don't
He
give
did,
him a
honestly.
chance, man. And
Yeah.
I think he played a very angry Batman, but it was good in a way that it actually made me go, okay, I can get into this guy. Whereas a lot of people just didn't want to give him chances. Oh, it's Ben Affleck. Oh. But
Yeah.
dude, Ben Affleck's a huge fan of comics. He's going to do justice to it because he cares about it. Like an actor like Christian Bale is going to look at the role and go, okay, I'm going to break this down and then I really get into it in a good way. It's not bad. He did a great job. I love his movies. But Ben
Yeah.
Affleck is an actor as well that has done stage work and has done comedies, you know, but at his core, he is a comic book nerd. And he is going to do
That's why I
that kind of
love
justice.
Batman.
That's a point I feel like hasn't been brought up. Everyone's like, oh, it's Ben Affleck. Whatever.
Yeah, I didn't
Whatever.
even know that, Chase. That's a good
It's
point,
like,
man.
it's like he like it's kind of like, dude, he actually is going to love what he is doing, like in a deeper level than
Oh
Christian Bale
yeah,
ever could
people
have.
have been trying to bury him as a Batman character. They're just like, oh, he won't be Batman movie. And he's just like, dude, I'm the luckiest person on the planet to be playing this role.
That's cool.
I love the character. I love Batman. I love Bruce Wayne. I'm glad, honestly, because he's up. They made him a grizzled, like the trilogy, a grizzled veteran trilogy, and that's what I loved about it. Because Justice League, because in a way, this age of DC, they're finally saying, screw with the origin stories. Let's go deep into the like main story of it.
Yeah, get on with it. And that's
Let's
cool
get on
because
with it,
as a
like-
Batman fan, I mean, it's been frustrating over the years seeing so many people like so many stories like
Oh, it's
Let's
another
retell
origin
the
movie.
origin.
It's another
Mhm.
one. Let's give our take on
Yeah.
what's the origin of Batman
I'm like,
is.
let's just evolve the character. Let's keep going because I know there's more out
Well,
there.
it's almost like not to cut you off, but to me, Batman is almost like James Bond. I mean, hear me out. It's like let's fall in love with this character. He's going to do multi-films. They're all going to be really good. Most James Bonds I like, even Daniel Craig. I like Pierce Brosnan. I grew up
Oh,
on
yeah.
Pierce Brosnan. But that's kind of like what Batman has become. It's kind of become this. Well, we know it's going to be about 3, 4, or 5 films, and it's going to be a new one. And you know, I like it. It's suffered in some storytelling ways because of that, and in some ways, it's kind of kept it fresh too. The thing that's special about all the Batman is, in its time, it's always relevant. Like, it's still Batman, it's still its story, but it's always very, very relevant in its time. Like, I'll go back and look at the ones that I loved with, like, you know, the Terminator, what's his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger, as the Mr. Freeze and all that. And when I was a kid, I was like, oh, that's so good. And it was so relevant for the 90s and looked so well in the 90s. But you go back and it doesn't really hold up as well in some ways. And it's kind of like, oh, that looks like shit, man. But, oh, well, I still like this, you know. Yeah, so that's one thing that I think is very important about Batman is it's like the comic
What
book
can I do for you,
James
Guardian?
Bond. It's always changing. It's like based off the books, it's based off the comics, it's based off all the things like 007 is, but it's still culturally relevant. They make it new, they make it fresh, they make it work in today. and that way it stays fresh. And but I think nowadays it's awesome because of how CGI, how action, how choreography, how great it's gotten. It's made Batman just legendary status as far as just being a badass. I think the
Like he
Batman
is.
films have become more and more timeless,
Hey
even
there.
more now so than the old. The old ones, you know, as a childhood
Take care of
thing,
yourself,
it holds
okay?
up, you know. But most kids watch it and go, you know, it's Batman, but it looks weird. What is this? You know, man,
Yeah.
I'd rather go watch Christian Bale or Ben Affleck. You know, it's kind of like that. Like, I don't want to go on too long about
They
it. but
make
that-
it relevant
that's how I
to
look at it.
today's age, to the kids in today's age.
Yeah. I personally like the new Batman's the best, like the newest ones, because they've affected
yeah.
me in my adult life more than the ones as a kid did. Because I mean, honestly, man, they're just. I'm an action movie buff, and dude, the action is great in every single one. Like the last 4 or 5 Batman movies, great action.
Well,
And,
speaking of the action chase,
They've benefited.
Remember when we watched me and all of us and Justin watched Batman versus Superman? Remember we rewound that part where he goes to rescue Superman's mom when he just goes off on those
Yep.
dudes, like Batman just pops through the floor and stuff. Like, dude, that was the action that I want to
Uh-huh.
see.
How long
in
has it
some
been
Batman.
since we actually rewound a part in a movie too? Like we used to do it
Yeah,
all the time back
we
in
used
the
to do
day.
it all the time. Yeah,
That's
but that was so epic. It
because-
was
Special
worthy
moment.
of it, dude. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, that was
No doubt.
amazing.
That's the first time in a long time where they've actually taken his fighting style and like matched it with like a movie performance, because they couldn't do that with other movies because
Mm-hmm.
like actors couldn't be technically sound. But you saw he was literally throwing people,
That was
like
so epic.
destroying them, breaking arms, like taking a bullet and like breaking their face in half, like swinging boxes and hitting people. Just
Yeah.
so fluent and skillful. It's just like people are just like, this is the Batman we always
As long
wanted.
as the traveler hangs above
And-
us, creatures hungry for its
And
life
that's the way
will
he's supposed to
find
be.
us.
He's supposed to be a
This
badass.
place is but a temporary
This man has
refuge.
trained literally
Farewell.
years and years in the League of Assassins. He knows over 1,000 ways to kill somebody. He's mastered every form of combat there is in the known world. So, and people are just like, and people know this, but people are just like, why haven't they used him like that?
Mm-hmm.
Why they haven't
Mhm.
used his like immense fighting style that he can
Well,
literally
yeah.
just like
Christian, I'll say this. I feel like the very first Batman Begins, I think is what it's called, or
You
whatever
read
the
it.
first Christian Bale one was. I think that one did a pretty good job at telling that story, you know, with Liam
Yeah.
Nelson in it and all that. But at the same time, it did feel rushed. I mean, maybe y'all might feel that way. I feel like it felt really rushed, but it told a good story, like in the final fight of that movie.
Yeah, like they
The
could have
first
went
Christian
into
Bale
it
movie.
more.
But they went into it quite good, but they could have made it feel like he really, like quoting what Christian said, like it didn't really teach that story. It just told that he was a badass and learned an awesome martial arts, you know. But I don't think people really understood who Ra's al Ghul was. It just told a story
Yeah.
that he was the main bad guy in that movie, and that there's a deeper story there, but they leave it open to speculation. Only people like Christian who really delve into the
Hunter.
deepness of it get that, you know.
Guardian. Will you answer?
That's true.
yeah,
Don't waste
this man, what Ra's al Ghul is, he is a man who has lived years and years
The Lazarus Pit.
in the Lazarus Pit. He has been there since the beginning. 500 years, I've heard, was like how long he's been alive.
Wow.
And he has taught like everyone. He has like taught everyone. He has taught some of the best fighters in like the DC world. Like I can't remember her name. He has taught Red Hood, he has taught Deathstroke, he has taught Batman, he has taught everyone in the DC universe how to fight. And Batman has beat Ra's al Ghul, so wrap your mind around that. Like, he has fought Ra's al Ghul and beaten him badly.
Yeah, that's you got to be pretty dang talented.
Which is why Batman is just regular man, but he's so much more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he literally, he's dangerous. I mean, people would just go to say, oh, Superman would destroy him. And yes, in some retrospect, he would. But
man to man,
this man
yeah, of course.
He's like in a hand-to-hand combat.
So resourceful.
In hand-to-hand combat, Superman would have won easily. But you have to realize how smart Batman is.
Yeah.
This man has a contingency plan for every Justice League member if they ever turned evil.
And they found out about it. I remember that. I watched. I'm sorry. I don't mean you can finish, Christian, but I'll just to your point. I watched Justice League cartoon like way back, like God, probably 15 years ago when it first came out, and I remember when they all found out about it and how pissed they all were. Like even Flash and all them were kind of like saying, "Hey, what's up with that, dog?" You know, not to cut you off too long, but I watched that episode. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I always thought that I was like, but I always sympathized with Batman. I was like, shit, if I was Batman, I would too.
Yeah.
Because you have to be prepared, because people, I mean, they've said his psyche valve was like he was obsessed with contingency plans, being prepared for absolutely everything.
Well, and you can kind of see that in Batman versus Superman. When he goes to fight him, you know, he had already set up the battlefield for that fight. Like he was ready, you know.
To get an
really
upper
cool.
hand. That was amazing
smart.
About that. Was that he was prepared before the fight even started. Like I wonder if
that obsession comes from the fact that they were caught so off guard when his parents died. Like I wonder if it goes all the way back to that. Like he wants to prepare. He wants to end things before it ever begins.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. We're psychologically analyzing Batman.
Gotham is that they tell a story about all his origin stuff, like how he got his no-kill rule, how he like prepares for everything now, how he's just like, I will never be caught off guard ever again. And it shows, because he makes a contingency plan for everything. And they hate it. I mean, the Justice League hated it because they're just like, well, why can't you trust us? You know? But it was just like, he told him, he said, it was the most simplest answer anyone can give you. It's like, well, what if any of us turned evil? What would we do against you? We couldn't do anything. You know? But it kind of brings the question, what if Batman turned evil?
Yeah.
You know? And that's an even scarier thought, because he could easily beat the Justice League with all of his contingency plans. He could literally throw a kryptonite crystal at Superman, cripple him in combat, take the ring off of Green Lantern, beat Aquaman in hand-to-hand combat.
He could just electrocute Aquaman.
And literally just make the ground slick for Flash and beat him. You know?
That's cool.
Recently in comics, he's kind of made what we would call a Justice League buster. He's made a machine to fight the Justice League. The whole Justice League.
Oh wow.
He pulled a Tony Stark and made a Justice League buster. Combat against every single member of the Justice League. we've had a good conversation so far, so kind of moving along with movie news so far. Movie news in the Justice League world in DC. There has been a lot of speculation with the upcoming Justice League movie. Is Darkseid gonna be in the movie? And people are just like, because that's the biggest question. Because the main villain was supposedly his son. Was supposedly supposed to be his son, Steppenwolf. Darkseid. They're gonna tease it for the very end.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think it'll probably get to where it shows him, and then that might be the next Justice League movie, because I'm sure they're gonna.
I think they'll let the story flesh out a little bit before they just come out swinging with the main villain. I think it'll be a pretty good villain. It'll be a good actor, you know, and maybe one they can bring back in some way. That might be an Arkham, whatnot. But I'll say I could see this though. I mean, think about Batman v Superman. The very final boss seemed insurmountable, odd-wise. Like, you know, it took all three of these, you know, out of the Justice League to beat him. But I think it's they're gonna have to make a villain that's tangible but still that big enough that it goes. We need all 6 or 5. You know, we need all 6 or 5.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily big in stature. I'm just saying, like, big enough to match that hugeness of the first villain, and that which 3 Justice League members beat him. Think about what it's going to take for. I think it's going to tell that same story as far as they're going to have to dig deeper than they've ever did, you know, before. But with 6 members, so perhaps even better than that guy.
Apparently,
you know,
there's a 7th
in some ways
that they're hiding, because in the poster it says unite the 7th. But where is the 7th member?
Hashtag Oliver Queen. No, that'd be
awesome.
dream.
Dude, I would love that.
People have been asking questions. They're just like, okay, you have 6 members that are definitely confirmed to be in this movie. You have Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, and people are just like, okay, that's 6. Where's number 7? And people were thinking it's Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, or John Stewart, Green Lantern. One of the 2. And I think it would be good to maybe introduce a Green Lantern, but at the same time, I don't know. Honestly, because they could do.
I thought Green Lantern was
anything.
already announced.
It's close.
They never announced him. Honestly, they've never said anything about him being in a movie or anything. They were just kind of just like, oh, unite the 7, and they're kind of just like, people are just like, okay. Well, I think they're gonna. It's this. I think it's either Green Lantern's gonna show up at the very end of the movie in a cutscene, or they're gonna be like, we need like some more help, and like a green Flash comes from the sky, and like just like comes to.
So Mortal Kombat 1 to 2 style. Like we beat them, and then all like they're like at the end of 1, they're like, oh, we've beat them. Yes, we're the champions, and happy ending. And then the start of the second one, Johnny Cage gets his neck broke. You know,
Spoiler alert.
that kind of thing. Oh crap! Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, and they said that they cut apparently there was supposed to be a really important scene in the movie. We almost could have gotten a preview of Iris West. That new DCEU Iris West in that movie, but they cut her from the new cut movie that Josh Whedon.
I don't know enough about her.
Avengers helped finish.
That's Iris Chase that, you know, varies.
Oh, okay. You know, I thought that's who that was, but she's a superhero then.
They casted a new Iris West for the movie that's coming out called Flashpoint, which I'm about to get into in just a second. Yeah, and that's they said that they were gonna maybe get a little preview of Iris in the new movie, and that would have been cool because of what's coming. Because they're not doing another origin movie for the Flash, for Ezra Miller's Flash. They said we're just gonna dive right into a new story, and they're adapting Flashpoint. Flashpoint is a very, very interesting storyline that includes all the Justice League members. Matter of fact,
10 seconds.
Yeah, that's like the
new
ultimate timeline thing.
The enemy almost won.
Yep, and it involves
You're
a
defeated.
lot
Fight
of
again. Persistence is key.
people. Like I said, it
This
involves
discourage you.
Superman,
Fight
it
hard
involves
and glory
Flash,
will
it
be yours
involves
again.
Batman, it involves Cyborg, it involves Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and stuff, which I really love because I would love to see how they do with this story, because kind of give you a little backtrack to the story. What happens is Barry Allen gets lonely, you know, and
Yeah.
he
Imagine masturbation with the Speed Force. That's probably gets pretty lonely.
Probably.
yeah, and
It's like, well, that was 1.5 seconds. What else to do now? At least
exactly.
if I had the Speed Force, that's how I would be.
You could have so much more time.
And he missed his parents, okay? And this is not the
R.I.P.
CW where all that stuff happens and stuff. He misses his mom, and it's her birthday. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go back in time and save my mom from being murdered. So what he doesn't realize, when you change a certain point in time, it sends a gigantic ripple in the time stream. Which means the best way it's described is that the Reverse Flash described it as how when you break the sound barrier, it's a sonic boom. And he broke the time barrier, so it meant a time boom. So a gigantic ripple in time happens. And
Is that kind of like whenever at the end of the first season or second season maybe, when
Yeah.
that big old giant hole opened up in the sky?
Yeah, and he went back and messed everything up. That's what Flashpoint is basically. It's that timeline, I think.
where he messed everything up and everything changes. Instead of Bruce Wayne's parents dying, Bruce Wayne dies.
Oh wow.
Holy crap.
And
R.I.P. Bruce Wayne.
and
He is not denied.
instead of Superman landing in Metropolis, he lands somewhere else where the U.S. government can get him, and they lock him up. Cyborg works for Obama, and
Holy crap.
I knew it.
Aquaman and Wonder Woman, they make a treaty between land and sea, but it turns out they break the treaty because of Aquaman and Wonder Woman had an affair, and Aquaman's wife found out, and she attempted to kill Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman proceeded to decapitate Aquaman's wife.
Oh, wow.
That brings the home
And
in me to
where's-
Under the Sea.
For real.
And Aquaman gets mad. I don't know why, since he cheated on her anyway, which is retarded. And what happens is they start a huge war between land and sea, and a gigantic war happens. And going back to Batman, Wayne becomes Batman.
Hashtag dead.
And he has pistols. And he kills people.
Ooh. Speaking of
So-
killing people, I'll tell you one thing. If you're still using Pandora and you have an Xbox, you are crazy when there's such a thing as Spotify. Finally found. So I can listen to all my music randomly. I don't have to listen to it in order, which is fantastic. It's been really good. So, Gotham Nights, brought to you by Spotify. Sorry, I just had to put a plug in.
Spotify, brought to you by Ace
I
Chemicals,
know
brought
you
to you
can
by
fight, but can you hold territory?
Batman Underwear Incorporated, brought to you by
Hashtag Haynes.
Joker Incorporated.
Spotify is amazing. It really is.
But yeah, all that happens, and pretty much Barry has to go and fix everything, save everyone. But he doesn't realize
Zone
that
C lost.
Aquaman has a gigantic super bomb.
Penis.
That'll pretty much
Zone B, double down.
end that too,
That
just
was
as
just a
Wonder
scene.
Woman.
Gains
okay.
the lead.
He fooled me.
And a gigantic bomb that blows up the world. And you know who the bomb is? Captain Atom.
America.
And just to give you a backstory on Captain Atom. Atom is pretty much what you would
Deathstroke.
call a nuclear bomb.
Wow.
Oh,
He
an atom
feeds
bomb?
off of nuclear energy,
They've taken the lead.
Yeah.
so they
can
figure
turn
out a
this
way
tide.
to
You captured Zone C.
Uh,
Zone advantage is yours.
manifest,
Zone B
like,
lost.
alter him into doing some crazy stuff. But anyways,
Hunters like
so
you
Barry
blaze
needs to
a path
fix
for the
this. So
rest
he
of
tries
us.
to get Wonder Woman and
Is his name Barry in
Aquaman
real
to
life?
stop
Or is that just
fighting.
CW?
What?
Like the character?
Is the Flash's name actually Barry, or is that just
You
CW's name
captured
for the
Zone B.
Flash?
You
That's
have
fair.
the
Curious.
Yeah.
This is Barry.
Man,
And
DC, what are you doing? Come on, like use Barry. He's a beautiful man. He's very successful.
Use Grant Gustin as Barry, who we love.
Yes.
So,
use Grant
You gave the
Gustin.
lead.
People are already
He's the best
invested
Flash
into
ever.
him.
mhm.
Use
Same
him,
thing with
please.
Freaking Oliver Queen, man.
Yep. Same
Come on.
thing. Change the characters we love. Everyone
Even
loves.
I mean,
Superman.
yes, they could make really cool arrows and everything, but dude, I tell you what, I love Oliver Queen.
It is-
Stephen Amell is an absolute boss, man.
He is.
He really is. Like, he looks like a movie actor. He doesn't look like just a TV
Yeah.
actor. I mean,
agree.
yes, I know both, but if anybody looks like a movie actor, he does
You captured
in
Zone
a
That's
film
power play.
that is set
You
up to
took
be
them.
TV.
Now hold.
I'll like kind of set like that.
I
Your
agree
killing
too.
intent
Nice
is
Blake, we melted
unmatched.
that guy.
Yeah, and no offense
Zone
to the
C
guys
lost.
they picked. It's just we already love and know the ones from TV. I mean, it would make so much more sense.
And Stephen Amell has already stated. He said they would have. He would have wished that, honestly, that they would have waited just a little bit before announcing Ezra Miller
Zone
as the
B
new
lost.
Flash, because Grant
You
Gustin
captured
was
Zone
already
C.
in his
You
like
have zone advantage.
what second
And he
season.
looks nice. He's a wonderful actor. Thing about him that you just, you know, I don't know, I can't remember his real name, like the name of the guy
Grant.
in CW.
Grant Gustin.
Yeah, Grant, whatever.
Mhm.
Man, somebody is playing Mortal Kombat on the other side of mine.
Yeah, Christian, we hear a lot of buttons.
B.
being pushed.
Christian, your
That's a
buttons are
power
going
play.
ham, Bubba.
You took
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
Zone
like, I
Intense
just
fighting.
love his, has one. Hold him close and go. It's gonna be okay, baby.
Keep this up,
And I'm
the
not gay,
battle
but
is yours.
if I was, he'd be who I'd want to be gay with.
I love it. And Stephen Amell would be my side dude on the weekends.
He would be, he'd be the guy that takes the bar and party with.
Yeah, that's a good description.
He'd be the guy I have at my wedding as my best man.
I just got a triple kill with my
What's up, Bubba?
awesome.
What scout rifle you got? Do you have something called the Midnight, by the way?
Let me look real fast. Yes, nameless midnight.
That
But
is
what's
the
interesting
second
is
best
That's a power
scout rifle in the game compared to the one I
Now
have,
hold them.
which is the
3
legend
minutes
exotic
left.
one. It's the
Zone
best
B
legendary
lost.
scout rifle in the game. So you did good with that one. Basically.
one more movie news for this topic is the new Joker origin movie.
That sounds cool.
This has
Is
been
that a real
really caught
thing,
my-
or are they just talking about it? Like that's what I like.
It's
I've
a
heard
real
it's a
thing.
speculation.
It's a real thing.
Is it like just a side project that some indie developer is making, or is it a legit
No,
DC
Jared Leto
thing?
confirmed it. Jared Leto confirmed it
Oh, and he's
himself.
gonna be in it.
Okay,
That's cool.
see now I'm actually into that.
Yeah.
If
Zone B captured.
I
You
mean
have
the
zone
thing is
advantage.
But he
though,
says
I
he
didn't
doesn't know if
necessarily
he'll be
like
playing
his
in it, though.
Joker. I like him as an actor. I like the character he played in Suicide Squad and everything. I liked what he did. But the origin seems too sleazebaggish. I don't see him that way.
Yeah. I mean, Joker is pretty
Well,
hardcore.
Just
Yeah,
to
but
dive
he's not
dive
sleazy,
into it,
sharp.
Zone B lost. You captured
what
zone
they're
A.
trying to
You have
do
zone
is
advantage.
they're trying to answer the age-old question: who is the Joker? There has been many interpretations of this character, with the old OG Batman story of Jack Napier,
Zone C lost.
of a crime boss turning, being portrayed by his own, like, kind of like his own kind, you know?
Only 1 minute
Yeah.
left.
And him, the classical, him being confronted by Batman and falling into the chemical waste dump.
Zone A lost.
And
Zone B captured. Your enemy
then
That's
you
where Harley
have,
got taken to, right?
Yeah. And Suicide Squad is pretty
Ace Chemicals, the creator for all things Batman villain. And so,
You've got 30 seconds.
it's all, and then you have, what,
Zone B lost. Your enemy has a
well
power
actually, let's
play.
go before that. We have the classic 90s,
Zone C captured.
60s
You
Joker.
have zone advantage.
then you
10
have,
seconds.
Heath Ledger's Joker,
cool. Alright.
which is
Still my
RIP.
favorite.
Yeah, he was.
And,
Because it's
Well
different.
executed.
this past one, in a movie they made, The Killing Joke,
in territory control.
where he was a comedian, a struggling comedian, wanting to provide for his family and for his wife who's pregnant, and so he decides to go to the crime families, Carmine Falcone to be exact. And they're just like, okay, we got one job to do, and we're gonna rob Ace Chemicals. So he's like, oh, okay. He's like, okay, I'll do it, alright? As long as I don't get seen. And they're just like, okay, you're gonna wear this, and it's a red hood. And, And so he gets word from a police officer. He said, "I'm sorry, sir. I have to tell you this, but your wife died in the tub with your baby via suicide." And he's just like, "Well, what's the point of going on with it now?" But then they're just like, "Well," the gangsters were like, "Well, you have to go through it now because you already said you were going to do it." So he does it, and they break into Ace Chemicals. Then he gets confronted by Batman. Batman chases him, and he slips on his cape, because they gave him a little cape with the hood. And he falls back into the chemical bat, comes out insane.
You know, it'd be cool if they added a little twist to that, where Batman saw him reaching out of the chemicals and fearing for his own safety. He doesn't help him.
That's crazy.
Well,
That's really cool.
what they're trying to do is, I think they said they were going to do
Hence the infatuation with Batman.
Yeah.
they were going to do a Jack Napier type one, where they're going to do an old gangstery type Gotham, like with crime bosses and all that stuff, and they said the one man they are looking at for this character is Leonardo DiCaprio.
Supremacy.
Because he said our vision is for him to be a young gangster.
Beat your opponent.
Wasn't he supposed to be the
Take
Riddler
their crest.
in one of the movies?
In the
Or is that
Christian
Mr.
Bale fourth movie that he didn't want to make. So,
That would
yeah,
have been pretty sweet.
Yeah.
and I love the fact that they're going to answer the age-old question with this movie, and I can't wait for it, honestly. And it's going to be a great movie, and I will definitely be the first in line to go see it. But last topic of the night, it's going to be comic books. We're going to dive into comic books and what's been happening lately in comics. Pretty much what Zack Snyder's been going crazy with Batman. And with the new Dark Knights comic book series, which, to go back, it is the story of how this metal, called Nth Metal, they've been going to a gigantic investigation in a previous comic called, with a crossover of The Watchmen and Dr. Manhattan. And Batman is just trying to figure out what in the heck is this metal. So what happens is some villain gets a hold of it and uses it to open up a whole different multiverse called the Dark Multiverse. So you have the regular multiverse, the Flash confusing one, which is the regular one, then you have the Dark Multiverse, which is when they introduce the different types of versions of Batman. Batman, the Red Death, Doomsday Batman, Green Lantern Batman, Aquaman Batman, and
It's like all the Justice League Batman.
exactly. And they just
Yeah,
released their
that's
first issue for the Dark Knight one, and that is Batman, the Red Death. And just to give a little backstory on this character, this is in a world where all of Batman's Robins are dead. Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and Damian Wayne, his son. And he's kind of sick and tired of people dying, so he's just like, you know what? I want to get this Speed Force and go back in time like Barry did and
5
change
minutes
everything.
remaining.
Oh, wow.
So what he does to start the comic off Batman is chasing down the Flash. And he's got the entire rogues gallery weapons to kind of chase him down and defeat him. After he defeats him, he chains him to the Batmobile and uses him to go back time to change everything and to make sure he has speed, super speed. And he pretty much goes and after he gets super speed, he kind of wreaks havoc. He sees Scarecrow trying to attack a young married couple and runs so fast, punches Scarecrow in half.
That's crazy. Batman just goes hardcore.
Just wrap this around your head. Batman has mastered every single form of fighting style there is. And he's like trained immensely in every form of fighting style, knows about 1,000 ways of killing you, and he has super speed. So that goes to show you how scarier he is now. But then his world is dying.
Yeah.
His world is dying, and he gets a message from another Batman in another multiverse. He's just like, what if I told you there was a world that was meant to live? He's like, I'm listening. And that Batman was revealed to be the Batman who laughs. And you already know what I'm about to say. This is the Joker and Batman morphed into one character.
That's getting way too deep for my feeble brain. So.
But that's just creepy, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely, to me, Batman's greatest villain.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, though, because Scarecrow, even though he's kind of a side villain, if they did it right, they could make him a main villain as well. Because he has kind of crazy, he has kind of crazy Batman.
I forgot something. One thing I forgot to say tonight. My Gotham review for the last 2 episodes, real quickly. Gotham Season 4 coming out with a very strong debut of the Scarecrow after a previous locked up Jonathan Crane going mentally insane from an overdosage of his father's toxin, makes his debut as the Scarecrow and starts using the fear toxin to scare the living daylights out of people. And murders him with a clad.
I saw where Batman is starting to kick ass in Gotham on the preview. I haven't watched any Gotham, not one episode, spoiler alert.
I know, I feel like we should, man.
But it always looks good. But I saw where he's like on the rooftops and some kind of looks like some kind of early Batman outfit kicking that ass. So what's up with that? Is that Batman or is that somebody else?
Okay, so they started out this season with Bruce Wayne starting his vigilantism. He is going around to criminals, beating the living daylights out of them. Not necessarily going after big criminals like Penguin, Joker, or any other criminals. He is just taking down petty thefts, all sorts of stuff. And he has been trained a lot by like the Court of Owls. And then later in the season, I've heard he'll be trained by Ra's al Ghul himself.
And fight again.
But to answer your question, Chase,
accept this loss,
That
or
isn't
you can fight
Batman
again
just
and
yet.
reclaim your glory.
I mean, is it Bruce Wayne?
It is Bruce Wayne, but it is a proto-type Batman costume. And
It was the precursor, kind of.
and he starts his vigilantism. And this past episode, episode 2, he gets an upgrade from Lucius Fox. Hashtag Morgan Freeman, you will be the best Lucius Fox of all time.
R.I.P.
But he gets an upgrade. He was just like, well, he said, I remembered our last chat when you said you went rock climbing. I got really concerned. So I made you a Kevlar suit that's forearm resistant and bulletproof and lightweight, and made gloves to pretty much stick onto anything. For rock climbing, anyways. And so he kind of was just like, I know what you've been doing. And yes, to be correct, he is knocking the daylights out of people right now, currently.
That'll be exciting
which
to
is
see
amazing.
him rock the suit for the first time.
And they have developed kind of like a mask that Alfred created. Alfred created a little mask that kind of looks like a Christian Bale type mask without the ears, so to speak. And at the very end of this past episode, they show him wearing the suit, wearing the new suit, like on a rooftop, and they end it right there. So I can't wait to see how he uses it in action next week.
Yeah, that's gonna
On
be cool.
episode 3. And I'm stoked for what they're doing for this season because they have so much in developing. They've transformed characters. They're having transformations coming soon. Like, I think they're going to reveal what happened to Poison Ivy at the before the end of this past
No, I haven't heard
episode.
in a long time.
She injects drugs to make her more powerful.
You know what I think's
Because she
cool,
can
real quick,
manipulate.
is real quick. I think what's cool about Batman, one like common thread I've noticed just from Christian talking about all these villains and heroes, is how it's cool how in the Flash it's like medicines and stuff, right? But in Batman, it seems like a lot of things are chemical based, like changes. I mean, I think that's really cool. I mean, it's just something interesting, but I just kind of noticed that trend, so it's really neat.
Yeah, that was what they're doing with Poison Ivy. She can manipulate plants, like she can make potions and stuff out of plants and grow them the right way, but she can't do it at will. But finally she gets fed up with being under Penguin's thumb, because she goes to a kind of like a shack that has a bunch of chemicals that this old Chinese dude owns.
Yeah.
And she starts taking a lot of chemicals and she starts transforming. And they cut it off right there and go to a different cutscene. So I'm eager to see what they do with her transformation. And in an upcoming transformation, they'll be doing Solomon Grundy. At the end of season 3, Butch Gilzine gets killed off with a headshot provided personally from Barbara King. And yeah, that's another one. And all sorts of things are coming together.
I'll have to
Penguin
check
keeps
out
evolving.
that show, man, sometime. That sounds really interesting.
Catwoman keeps evolving. Catwoman is gonna probably finally be Catwoman because she finally got her whip.
Captured Zone B.
And
Oh.
so yeah, this is a lot of stuff is coming together in that show, which I'm really
Sounds like
excited
it, bro.
for. And yeah, I can't wait for next week and what what's to come. Can't wait for the epic Jerome return. If you don't know who Jerome is, he is the proto-Joker. So, everything's amazing. And I just want to thank all y'all for joining me on the podcast tonight. I knew Chase was kind of unexpected.
5 minutes remaining.
Didn't know that he was going to be featured on a podcast here tonight, but he is now.
I didn't know what was going on. I was glad I was just jumping in to see what y'all were up to.
Yeah, man.
Glad I did.
Opponents are
It's
pulling
cool
away.
you did, buddy.
Drag them back.
And so you can find both of them at their Twitters if they want to tweet that out real quick.
Power
Yeah.
play.
I'm going to talk to the
Enemy
public about it.
At Chase, Hogan, Joan, 1. That's how you say it. There is no S. The S is replaced with the 1.
And you can find me at 2Bears, all caps 2 and Bears, the little X in the middle.
And you can find me at Christian at Panthers_52 with the gigantic Panther logo, not the Panther logo, my gamer tag logo with the Gotham Nights banner on the Twitter. If you want to look for specific Twitter
Just
handles,
look for the
but
bat signal in the sky.
yes. So now it's time to go out.
You captured
It's time to
Zone
go.
B.
I have to go save Gotham City. So peace out, everyone. I will see you later. Next week we will talk about upcoming news and comic book releases. So see you later, Gotham City fans. Me and Robin are about to roll out.